About to get started. And here we go. What's up, Fam Bam? I'm Chris Mizo. Let's talk about PC and tech. Hopefully everyone has all the RAM that they need. Unfortunately, I tried going out to the Office Max, and I also even went to try to go to Office Depot, and it seems that they don't have any of the items in stock when it comes to RAM. So I heard on the last stream that some people were able to go to a place like Staples and Office Max, or any place of any really office store that they have. And unfortunately, they had none in stock. All they had left was a good amount of storage. There was a decent amount, but it wasn't really for a great price. And I was thinking to myself, no wonder why they're starting to go out of business. No wonder why nobody comes to these stores anymore, because they're practically all Office Depots now. But the price of RAM just seems like it just keeps going up. Now it's at $1,400 to get 64 gigabytes of 6,000 megahertz and CL30. What's up, Alex? What's going on? And just to let everybody know that is just coming in, we do have the commands working. I went to go test it the other day just to make sure everything is working great. Oh, that's awesome. Did you get to install it? What's up, Takuma? Glad to see you guys are in here. Takuma, Alex. We have Discord commands. We also have the alert commands, and we also have the promo command. So anybody can really input it in. All they have to do is put exclamation point Discord or exclamation point promo, and something will come up where exclamation point lurk. Any of those commands will work, and I'm excited to work on some more commands, especially for our supporters. I have some great ideas. Now, the funny thing is, I got to brief over the Discord a little bit earlier this morning, and anybody is also free to join Discord if you have any questions about PC and tech, or you're just trying to find a deal. In fact, I was trying to get rid of a Z890 motherboard up there, but in fact, that might come into question. Really? Oh, the input has improved. Yes. Apparently there is a vertical stream now. I guess it's within YouTube Studio. The way it works is they have one vertical stream that goes out and a regular horizontal stream. It's pretty odd from my angle. I guess this is a new test for YouTube to see how it works out. But I guess the vertical stream probably gets pushed more into the shorts instead of actually publishing it. So that's the difference in it for sure. But you know what's funny? Anybody that's been finding any RAM for a discount, especially if they've been going to Best Buy or Micro Center, it hasn't been that great of a discount. It was like maybe $8 off or $26 off of something that is insanely priced, like at $1,400. So, there we go. Glad these timers are working perfect. So that's our Discord right there. You can feel free to join it into the chat. All you have to do is click the link, and you can feel free to join the server. Again, if you have any questions, or if you're looking for any help when it comes to your PC builds, or maybe, in fact, you want to show off your PC build, you are also free to do so. Now, everybody out there, I am curious if they have the RAM that they need. Do you guys have the RAM that you need for your PC build? Now, really think about it, and I don't want anybody to really overthink this. In fact, I'll put a poll up shortly about it. The reason why I'm asking is because sometimes it's almost that FOMO factor that you get when something like this does happen. When RAM does go up in price, you naturally want to buy it because you want to be able to get the best deal as possible, and you don't want to end up getting shut out and buying it at the highest point possible. So you get that fear of missed opportunity. So you want to make sure to secure the RAM that you need, but maybe you actually don't need it. So my question to everybody out there is, do you actually need to go get the RAM? And for those who are trying to build a PC, I can understand you guys especially need RAM because it's a bit of a different story for you guys. It's just a shame because some of the price of RAM, just as I mentioned earlier, at an insanely priced $1,400, could really nab you a RTX 5080 easy. Maybe if you get even lucky enough, you can pick up a RTX 4090, 24 gigabytes. Who wouldn't want something like that instead of getting something more like RAM? So yes, see, Takuma, he's ended up picking up some RAM. I've also tried to secure some Crucial, some of their 6400 megahertz CL32 that was just recently released. It was at a decent price. I got it for about like $320. But I have a feeling that more than likely isn't going to come in. I feel like that's going to end up getting back ordered indefinitely, or I'm going to get an email saying that the order is canceled overall. So Alice Vavin. Yeah, even SSDs Gen 4 almost the same price as Gen 5. Yes, that absolutely makes no sense. In fact, you can pick up the Samsung 9100 Pro went up in price just a little bit. It went up about to $220 for about 2 terabytes for the Samsung 990 Pro. Not the 990 Pro, but the 9100, which is their Gen 5 PCI Express NVMe. Now they also have the Samsung 990 Pro, which is at the nearly the same rate, which is about at $170 to $180. And literally just about 2 weeks ago, it was down to $180 for Samsung's 9100 Pro for 2 terabytes. So, but there was a RAM shortage. I had the first 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. After that, I chose 64 gigabytes, and now 64 gigabytes with faster timing, such as this. Yes, you actually picked it up for a good deal, considering how much it is now. Even back then, we thought it was a bit outrageous for the pricing. In fact, I definitely would love to show it if you still got that screenshot. I just had to find it. But in fact, they actually picked it up for a really decent deal. As again, today for that same exact RAM kit. And this is just a Corsair, just the regular Corsair Vengeance RGBs DDR5 6000 megahertz at CL30. That's $1,400. And the price just constantly keeps climbing. So just imagine by the time we hit January, it's going to become so unaffordable for anybody to purchase RAM because just of how short we are. Also, I see a lot of questions about it. I see a lot of questions about when it comes to RAM, about why exactly is this happening? Why does this affect the consumer side of the market? And how come, and the funny thing is also, I may add, is that people are thinking that it's not going to affect the console side because it's only going to affect the consumer side, but that's not really the case. Reason being is because the RAM shortage is all due because these foundries want to, instead of focusing on DRAM, they want to focus on HBM, which is high bandwidth memory. This is a much more advanced form of it especially for AI. That's what they really want to use it for. So you have companies such as OpenAI that purchases all these HBMs, and the demand is so high for it. Even Crucial said, you know what, we're not going to do consumer RAM no more. We're going to focus more on the AI side. So we're going to shut down this side of it. We're going to shut down the DRAM and just focus on creating HBMs solely for something like OpenAI. So Waffle Skater says, it's insane that 2 years ago, I paid $80 each for multiple 2 terabyte 980 Pro SSDs. and thought I got ripped off by buying a 2 terabyte Crucial P3 M.2 for $100. What a dream price now. Absolutely. It's funny how some people still argue, oh no, SSDs are really not that badly priced. I mean, honestly, if you really look at the price, we'll go into the price graph in a little bit as well. We'll see exactly how much of an influx in pricing of how high SSDs have gotten. We have been, I gotta say, we have been really lucky when it comes to the GPU side, because typically when something like this happens, it's going to be a domino effect. It's also going to happen to GPUs. It's just a bit slower at a slower rate. So if you're in need of a GPU, definitely today or sometime soon is a great time to get a GPU, because that's also going to get effective. And the reason being is because, again, you have these manufacturers such as NVIDIA that they are going to ship their PCBs out to their board partners. But the catch is that they're not going to ship VRAM with their PCBs and their GPUs. So that just tells you that they don't have enough. They know that the supply is short for it. They're not going to take responsibility to go and hunt for some VRAM for their GPUs. There has also been, speaking of which, PS5 or PC build in that range. So it depends on what you're trying to do. Now, the smart thing is, honestly, Lucifer, is to build a PC today. It's actually the best thing you can do, because by the time, if you do get a PS5 and you turn out that you don't really like it, again, you're paying a lot of money for older hardware. You're paying for hardware that's essentially just a 6800 RX 6800, and it's dated back from 2020. So I would say the smarter thing to do is build a PC, and then you're going to thank yourself, because by the time next year hits, you're going to be grateful that you did it, because you're not going to pay an extra $2,000 or even $3,000 just to build a PC. So Michael Raj says, I paid $393 and 32 gigabytes of CL36 6000 speed Vengeance RGB RAM. I am building my first PC and figure I should bite the bullet before it gets work. Smart guy, smart Michael, because the good thing is when you build this PC now, you're going to save yourself a ton of money, because again, it just keeps climbing every week. It almost seems like it's not just a climb of just like 20, 30 or 40. It's literally $200 to $300 every week, especially with this whole RAM fiasco. Unfortunately, Ramageddon is very real, and again, our options are very limited the more and more RAM gets sold, because the RAM that is currently out there in the market, what is currently supplied, is all that's there, that's going to be there. And when all of it ends up getting sold, you're going to see it even get more expensive, because there's just a very short supply. It's just going to be this whole supply and demand for people who actually need RAM. So, Retkever says, crazy price, Michael. I bought 120 euros for that a few months back, but I understand it's not going to get better anytime soon. I'm glad people are starting to realize this, because this isn't just like your typical RTX 50 series when they first come into stock. There's always going to be a high demand when something new comes out to the market. That's no secret. We all know that. The problem is just like with the RTX 50 series, when it did release, they just did not have enough supply, so they couldn't fulfill the demand. For example, Micro Centers were getting about like 5 to 6 GPUs when they were getting into stock. There was about like 210, 220 nationwide. So it was almost... Oh, thank you for the super chat. So, let me see. So 65 gigabytes of RAM or Ladyboy? Oh, that's a great one. Definitely, you mean 64. I'll throw that one. You know what? I'll let the audience answer that. So, what's up, Ernesto? Thank you for our supporters joining us. Will Micron still deliver third-party GPUs? manufacturing with RAM modules for GPUs? More than likely not. A lot of the concentration is actually going to end up going into Samsung now. Samsung is going to be the main supplier really when it comes to VRAM. And as mentioned, AMD has already mentioned that there is going to be a price increase, not on CPUs, but on GPUs, that they're going to charge a bit more extra when it comes to each 8 GB of VRAM that is currently on a GPU. So it's about like, again, a 10% increase on the GPUs. Now, the whole CPU thing that got blown out of proportion, apparently someone successfully started this rumor of saying that AMD is planning to uptick the CPUs with the pricing, but they are planning to remain exactly where they are. But to be honest, I did hear something of that a bit earlier in the year, but it seems that they have retracted it, which was wise of AMD to do so, especially because everybody needs to have a little bit of extra cash to certainly put their money into something like RAM. So do you recommend to buy SSDs before it gets overpriced? Great question. Absolutely. It's a good time to certainly get some SSDs if you absolutely need it. If you need an SSD, you need the extra capacity, do it, because the next thing you know, you don't want to pay $300 for 2 TB of M.2 that's PCI Express 4. Doesn't that sound a bit ridiculous, especially now? There's especially that you can get up to 4 TB for a pretty decent deal now. It's not the greatest, it's not the best. But again, the SSD, the whole NAND issue has been slowly creeping up. So, what's up, Frozen? Good to see you. Hey guys over at Twitch, just to let you know, there is the commands. They are up and running now. I got them tested and all good to go. So if anybody out there on Twitch or YouTube wants to throw in a command such as Discord, or you want to put in the lurk command, you guys can feel free to do so. So Waffle Skater says, see from just a number point of view, it doesn't look just as bad with SSDs because of the overall number. On prices, it don't look like the RAM prices increased, but the fact that 1 TB SSDs are costing more than what that's exactly the point. That is a great point, Waffle Skater. I'm glad you're able to see that. Again, everybody out there who has shopped for SSDs, especially in the current, if you shop for an SSD probably about like 2 to 3 months ago, for example, we got a Crucial, what was it? It was actually a Crucial SSD. It was PCI Express 4. Again, we only paid $60 for it. It was 2 TB. Again, it was 2 TB, $60. Micro Center had it on sale. In fact, if you go back to like my live stream back in around February, I would say it was February or March of 2025. If you check out that live stream, you would see exactly how cheap everything was. We picked up in that same round when we went to Micro Center, we actually picked up Crucial's M.2 PCI Express 4 for like $60. It was like $60, $70 for 2 TB. And then we also ended up picking up some DDR5 RAM from Corsair, Vengeance, and it did have the RGBs on there, but it was CL36, but it was on discount, so we picked it up for about $92. So those two alone is just astounding how different the pricing is today. So I bought an extra SSD from Best Buy yesterday. I had some gift cards. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to get some extra SSDs. Now, I gotta throw this out there. What is Office Depot or Office Max? I don't know, or not really Office Max. It's Staples now. But what is Staples really thinking about, like charging so much money for for their PC hardware? But the funny thing is, I did look for the RAM over there, and they didn't have anything. So yes, get the SSDs when you have the money now. So Gen 5 2 TB fast SSD or Gen 4 4 TB. Now, Hassan, that's a great question. For anybody that is curious about this is like a serious question, because if you are a gamer, I highly suggest getting Gen 4. Reason being is there's not really an advantage when it comes to Gen 5 just quite yet. But if you are more of a production worker, you do things like you work on video files, you constantly transfer, that's when Gen 5 comes that's when it comes in handy. So, going back to how much money do I need to spend to max out on Minecraft? That's completely optional to you. So True Waffle Skater 1 TB yesterday was $110. So I wonder what other companies will pull out the public market. That is so now there's only 3 memory companies out there that really could do that. You have Micron, which is the one that is the major, not really a major supplier, but they're a smaller supplier when it comes to not just on the RAM front, but they're also the suppliers of, say, Dell, HP, like your typical pre-built PCs, or like things like PS5 or the X or Xbox Series X, because they're the suppliers for them. They're that's the consumer side of it. So that tells you if Micron shut their doors for that, now that means those companies, those same pre-built companies or the console companies, now have to look for either HK Hynix, which is the other option, or they have to go for Samsung. Those are the only 2 fabs that are left. And the problem is these fabs are not wanting to produce more because, again, you can produce more, but it also brings higher risk. And the way these wafers are, the way they are, is that there can't really be any imperfections when it comes to HBMs or when it comes to DRAM. It's not like how it is when it comes to a CPU. When it comes to a CPU, there's some sort of yield to it. That's acceptable. And then over time, the yield gets less and less, which is normal. Now, when it comes to DRAM and HBMs, they got to be like near perfect. If not, if there's even like a few that's messed up, they got to scrap that whole wafer and actually start over and start with a brand new one. So the problem is almost every electronic device, even cars or even things like refrigerators, will see an increase in price. Absolutely correct. And this is the problem here. So again, it's just not going to affect just the PC market. I'm sure you guys seeing it out there where you see people who are into consoles and they just hate on PC. We all have seen it before, and you probably seen the different memes that they put out how PC guys are suffering. But the problem is it's not just going to be our front, it's going to be everything. It's just like what Retech says. It's just going to be the problem amongst everything. So, yes. Yeah, and the funny thing is, when it comes to Samsung is like the main provider when it comes to DDR5. It's not like how DDR4 was, where you had a little bit more of options. Mostly everything today, like when it comes to our DDR5, comes from HK Hynix. Now, Samsung was a bit more involved when it came to DDR4, and it would be good. Like, for example, if you got like a Samsung B die, it would be a decent DDR4 where you could actually do some tweaking to it. But now it's strictly HK Hynix. I don't know if they're going to be able to stretch over to Samsung to be able to get more. And again, it's very limited because Micron is really out. You're not going to get as much RAM that's going to be out there in the market that there honestly should be. So I'm going to throw up a poll in just a second here, and this is the question I'm going to ask everybody here. Does anybody out there actually really need the RAM, or are they just buying it just in case for future purposes, I should say. So does anybody out there actually need the RAM? So this is the poll I will ask. And here we go. So I'm going to set it on now, and feel free to vote. I'll leave this poll up there for everybody out there to vote on. Oh, wait. There we go. So just put 1 or 2 in, and that will move the graphical poll. So, Toban, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Ernesto. So JCM Arizona says, I bought 2 weeks ago Crucial's T705 Gen 5 for $159. That's actually a great deal. Anybody who is looking for SSDs, Crucial actually makes some great ones. The T705 is one of them. T710 is also a great one. Even the original T700 is decent. So if you need some RAM, if you need a fast Gen 5 SSD, that's actually a great choice that JCM Arizona actually had selected here. So DDR5 6000 CL2. What? Wow, that's lucky there. That is amazing that you got it for that deal. Then I picked up some 7800 X3Ds and ASUS Tough B650E for $400. You are ahead of the game. You got exactly what you need. Hopefully you got that GPU. What GPU did you end up picking up, by the way? So Ernesto says enterprises pay for more for them than gamers would ever. That's exactly, Ernesto makes the point, because they're willing to spend whatever it takes to fulfill the AI needs. Unfortunately, AI is being consistently used and it just keeps blowing up. The only way for it to really slow down is if people stop using AI, but it's almost like become part of society at this point. I know for certain eventually it's going to fade away, and the reason being is because people want human interaction, such as videos. Same thing with writing. You don't want to hear something from that's actually from a computer or from AI, so to say. So hopefully this ends a lot sooner than later. So hey, I have a really good deal for a Sapphire 9070 XT. 600, that's a great deal actually. That is a decent deal. You could, I would say, definitely go for it. Now, if anybody doesn't know, the Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT, or the depending on which Sapphire that you get, either card's really great. The 9070 XT is definitely one of the best cards of the year. Compared to all the different GPUs that I've tried out, definitely the best in value and performance, as you could get it for as low as $600 to $700. So if anybody is looking for a GPU for a great deal, that's one I certainly recommend, especially if you're going to use it solely for gaming. Now, for those who are looking for a GPU that's more for production and also a bit more for gaming as well, then it's a bit better to get NVIDIA because of the CUDA cores. But I would highly recommend a 9070 XT for anybody that is just looking to build a straight up gaming PC. So I see that the problem car makers are even reverse engineering from electric cars to gasoline diesels back and after touchscreen to knobs. You know what it is? It's because when it comes to that whole situation, when it comes to the car manufacturers, it really takes away from a lot of the aesthetics when it comes to purchasing a car. So when you do purchase something, a lot of people don't want to see everything that is touch. It doesn't look nearly as nice for some reason as having the traditional knobs that you would in the interior, for sure. So so far we have a bit of a mix. So far we got no, yes and no. So far people actually don't really need the RAM. That's a good thing. Hopefully you can keep the RAM for as long as you need, because again, does anybody know exactly how long the shortage is going to be? So but my paranoia makes me want to say one, because I was looking at my second build, and that is on yeah, that's the thing. I've been like slowly putting some money onto the side, just to try to collect as much RAM as I can for the upcoming builds, especially on the channel. Since this channel is about PC hardware, I can't build PCs without RAM. So of course, anybody out there that wants to build a PC, it's nearly a death trap, especially if you don't have the indication of wanting to build a PC. Maybe you're on the fence and saying, I kind of want to build a PC, but it seems kind of expensive right now. Honestly, I don't blame you, but the smart move would be to go ahead and focus on trying to build that PC, because it's just going to get just even more expensive. So just got some PCI Express Gen 5 2TB Samsung Evo 850 for $175. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Michael. So nice. Michael, you are the man. You are definitely one of the smart ones that certainly made the correct move there. Because just listen to Michael out, guys. If you haven't built your PC, just go ahead and do it, because at least you can get the GPUs at a very decent deal. In fact, you can get GPUs for below MSRP. That's how good the deals are for the GPU front. Now everything else, even motherboards are actually decently, they have decent deals. You can actually get them for under $200 if you are looking to build a PC. Now, the more expensive components are just going to be the RAM and the SSDs. SSDs haven't gotten out of control just quite yet, but they can easily, because again, they come from the same fabs, such as Samsung, Micron. All those companies are pretty much, it's again, same, pretty much like another wafer of NAND. So just make sure to go ahead and invest into SSDs. And also into RAM, especially if you need it. If you need to build a PC, today is certainly a great time to do so. So got my Sapphire Nitro 9070 XT for $700. That is awesome. Bells and whistles in the cars are good. Yes, absolutely. It's not going to be as smooth. Like, just like when you get into a car and you're using the car controls like you usually do, because every car has their own system. It's just how it is. No one wants to have one central system, just like how they wanted to do like this whole, say, the Apple CarPlay integrated into the car. The cars are going to continue doing so because it's going to end up saving them money, and they want to draw you back to that same exact line. For example, they want to keep you drawn into the Chevy line. So now you might see a bit of a delay when you're using their screen. You might actually see it move a bit slower than usual, or a slower response, because they have to cut back on some of the RAM. So I'm going to buy it for sure. I just clicked checkout. Awesome. Is it clever? It's decent. It's decent stuff. Again, it's one of those smaller companies that a lot of people don't deal with. It's one of the companies that, this is one of the things about like Clev, or some of the companies that you don't really hear too often from. Now, they're all manufactured. Those ones are usually manufactured like from China. That's why you can actually get it for a great deal, because that's the other side of the coin, is if they start producing more, they might end up taking over a bit more of the market because of that. You're going to see more Chinese components. That's going to be a bit more common when it comes to the RAM side, because of the shortage. So you'll see brands such as Clev, and there's a few other ones that's a little bit off with their name. Newegg usually has those type of RAM kits, and they usually have better deals on them. Now, if you look on Newegg, you'll actually see that they're not too like highly priced compared to something like Corsair, or something like G-Skill, or something like Kingston. So it's not nearly as highly priced as them. So time to break out the dummy stick. Yeah, you know what's yeah, exactly, the dummy sticks. Anyone here still rocking the EVGA 2060 Ti? Yeah, I'm curious about that. Is anybody still running any GTX cards too? That's a serious question, because Steam actually put out a hardware survey, and the hardware survey says that many people have converted from 4070s, not 47, it was 4060s over to 5060s is now the most common piece of hardware when it comes to Steam. So does everybody agree with that statement? Has everybody swapped over to pretty much like a 50 series for the most part? Let's see. I bought 64 gigabytes. I don't need that much, but I know 32 gigabytes is the new standard. But when you have more, it is more future-proof. Absolutely the case. It is 100%. It's 100% the case, because you know what's funny? If you guys were here earlier in the earlier lives, like back in probably not even a month ago, probably, well, maybe like a little bit over a month ago, we were saying that, yeah, 64 gigabytes seems to be, that's going to be the new standard. It is, and it's not in the way, because 32 gigabytes is usually sufficient for most people out there. Now, 64 gigabytes is nice to have, but nobody's going to really use it as much unless you are planning to use it more for, say, if you're using it for production usage, or if you're planning to stream a bit more with your PC build. If you are, then you're going to need that extended bit of RAM. So, but 32 gigabytes is certainly enough for everybody out there, especially if you're just starting off a PC build. Say you want to do a gaming build, just get 32 gigabytes. In fact, you know what's funny? ASRock, right? They're trying to have a comeback. And the reason why I'm saying that they're trying to have a comeback is because they are actually coming out with a motherboard where it's DDR5 and it's also compatible with DDR4. So it's going to be almost like the return of DDR4 if that is the case. But as you guys know, everybody that does follow RAM, that DDR4 is also just pretty expensive. It's still expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive as DDR5 RAM. So DDR prices are just going to get worse. I don't need it that much, but I know 32 gigabytes is the new standard. Absolutely. I'd say that's the most basic. The basic RAM that anybody has to get out there is 32 gigabytes. That is the perfect amount of RAM to have. So the most expensive parts now are always the ones. I know, isn't that insane? Like originally the RAM was actually one of the cheapest components. Could anyone imagine if PC cases became more expensive? Wouldn't that just sound ridiculous as it is? Like, what are we running out of metal now? So, oh yes, that's right, Takuma. 7900 XTX here, but man, does the 5080 keep tapping me on the shoulder. I get it. I 100% get it. Especially when you get to look at it in person, it just has that, it just calls for you. Almost like the ring from Lord of the Rings. It just keeps calling for you just because you know that you just feel that you need it. VRAM is going to go up next. Absolutely. Again, NVIDIA is the strong indicator. They don't even have to say we're raising our prices. And the reason being is because NVIDIA said we're not going to supply the VRAM anymore. Our board partners can deal with it. ASUS can deal with it. Gigabyte can deal with it. MSI can deal with it. That if they need the VRAM, they can go ahead and find it. So that just makes it a lot harder for them. So what does that also mean? It means that they're going to produce the GPUs at a much slower rate because they also have to install the VRAM and they also have to look for the VRAM. And then now they're going to have to uptick it. And NVIDIA could easily just sit back and say, well, we didn't say we were going to raise our prices. It was the board partners. They chose to do it. We didn't. Ours is exactly the same. So I believe in 2028, DDR6 at the start for consumers might be a little bit cheaper. It's a possibility. I hope so. As long as, see, the thing is, like when it comes to the consumer front, when it comes to DDR6, more than likely we're probably going to see it a lot more sooner because of this whole issue. In fact, AM6, once that ends up being released, we should see AM6 within, it's gonna be a while. We should see it by 2027 about AM6. And when AM6 does release, DDR6 should be more of the standard when it comes to those motherboards. PCIe Express 6 might also be in the works with it, but it's hard to say. They might still keep holding on PCI Express 5 then. So, see the... So, let me see. If the RAM issue continues, do you think there will be a shift for integrated CPUs? Great question, Ernesto. That is an awesome question. In fact, there is going to be more than likely interest in it. But the problem is when it comes with integrated CPUs, they also face the same issues that we do too as well. In fact, with the integrated CPUs, such as the SoCs from Apple, like M5, they have also increased their pricing because of the DRAM usage that's inside of that SoC. Now, when it comes to more like something like an APU, like AMD's 8000G, or something like their 9000G, which is going to be soon to be released, then it's going to probably be that a little bit more expensive than what we're used to. Usually those APUs are a bit cheaper, but it's definitely going to bring up the pricing, but they don't give you the availability when it comes to your PCI Express lanes. When it comes to your motherboard, when anybody does use the G series, you might get a limited amount of PCI Express 5 lanes depending on what this new CPU does feature. So if the let me see, is Ace Rock go? Oh man, that's a possibility, Hassan. That is definitely a high possibility. I can see that happening. Let me see. Okay, so far on the poll here, guys, that we see that mostly everybody doesn't need it quite yet. good thing. So just remember your choice, because the reason why I say remember your choice is because remember, if you don't need it, don't buy it. Just don't buy it yet. Wait till you actually need the RAM before doing the purchase, because it's insanely expensive. We just got to really, this is going to force developers to really develop their games well. Because if they don't develop their games well, it doesn't run great on 32 gigabytes. Well, guess what? They're just going to have less people that are going to want to buy games because of it. So, so let me see. Waffle Skater says the motherboard would be great if DDR4 prices didn't skyrocket as well, especially for the 12th to 14th gen Intel chips that both support DDR4 and DDR5. So theoretically, if DDR4 prices hadn't also jumped up, someone could use that DDR4 in that motherboard until they felt comfortable to getting the outrageous I like how you stated that, into the outrageous DDR5 pricing. I absolutely agreed. It's funny, when I went into Staples and I went to go ask, just for the hell of it, just to see if I had a chance to find any great deals on it. So I went to the clerk over there and I said, hey, do you guys have any DDR5? Of course, they have no idea what DDR5 is. They're like, DDR5? I said, yes, DDR5. She types it into the computer and the first thing that comes up, I don't know if they had third-party sellers or anything like that in inside of Staples, but I can certainly say that there was a list that certainly popped up in her computer. And you know what it said? That the first thing that actually came up on her computer was a DDR5. It was like 6400 megahertz CL30, but they were trying to sell it at $11,000. I don't know what they were thinking. That sounds really odd and weird. More than likely, it has to be bulk of 6400 CL32. I mean CL30. I would hope so, but that was insane when I saw that price. And she said, yeah, I don't think that's what that doesn't look right. $11,000. I said, no, that's not it. So 2027 AM6 might be, yes, I agree. I think so too. Yes, I think it's going to be more in 2027. Probably like late 2027. I'm fine to stay at 32 gigabytes, 5600 megahertz, CL40 for now. My 98, yes. See, the funny thing is, if you have an X3D processor, the X3D processor will actually handle the games very well, thanks to the V-cache. So anybody that has an X3D processor, be grateful to definitely have it. That will actually carry a lot of the load for you compared to splitting up to the RAM, unless the game's not really being optimized too well. There was, in fact, when I played Black Ops 6 within the last year, it was the last year's Black Ops 6. When I played it, there was issues when it came to memory leaks. And that was, again, an optimization issue. When it came to Call of Duty series, I told them, I let them know, like, hey, there's an issue with this whole memory leak. This could really run into serious. It was going all the way up to, I would say, like 29 to 30 gigabytes of usage of just on something like Black Ops 6. So again, optimization is going to be key for a lot of these studios out there. Subscription to GeForce Now to their hardware. It will be the cheaper option in the future, in just my opinion. So Lucas, welcome in. Do motherboard prices raising up for the same RAM prices? At least in the EU, it's looking kind of strange with stock and delivery. Motherboards should be hanging in there. They actually should drop a bit in pricing. And the reason being is because on Black Friday, when they expected a lot of these motherboards to sell, especially they had decent sales. They were not like they weren't really like the Illusion sales where it seems like that they were on sale. They were actually decently priced, all under 200 for the most part, and they just couldn't get rid of them. They actually had 40 to 50% less sales than expected, and that's from every single manufacturer. You're talking about from ASUS, you're talking about from Gigabyte. All of them did not expect this low of sales, and a lot of it is derived because of how expensive RAM is. Nobody wants to build a PC. After you add that RAM kit in with that motherboard, now you're looking at about like $600 to $700 just starting off your build. So my plan is I'm going to, So Jenna Moore says, I plan on flipping the 7800X3D. Oh, mind controller. I'll get right to you, mind controller. My plan is I'm going to flip the 7800 X3D mid 2026 with the 9950 X3D. Should it be cheaper than if the Intel rumors are true? They're going to be sick. I'm going to flip my motherboard. Yeah, I mean, you might as well. It's funny. Somebody in the chat in Discord had a controversial take, and their controversial take was that they actually appreciate this whole Ramageddon and the fact that it's actually appreciating the value of their PC. And again, I just told them, hey, that's a controversial take. I don't think anybody's going to appreciate that outlook out of it. So Simply Takuma says, $11 sounds like a placeholder in the server sys. 11,000, yes. Yeah, you know, the funny thing is it wasn't from any real company. It just like was a regular, almost like it was like Micron. It looked like a Micron RAM stick, more than likely, because it was green. And usually if it's green, typically it's Micron. And the reason being is because it's like the most basic RAM that you can get. Genomorph, it's good to see you in here. Now let me get back to Mind Controller's question here. Do you recommend getting the Sapphire Nitro Plus? Absolutely. Or the XFX Mercury 9070 XT. If you were to pick between two, honestly, you can't go wrong with either one of them. Now, Sapphire is excellent. I've tried out Sapphires. It's definitely quite the performer. Works great when it comes to 1440p. No issues at all. And definitely 100% reliable if you're looking for high refresh rates as well. Now, XFX is just as good. XFX was, you can think of XFX as similar as what EVGA was back in their heyday, back when they were part of NVIDIA. So XFX was actually one of the first companies that left out of NVIDIA to start to focus more on AMD's GPUs. So XFX is actually another decent manufacturer. So for you, it would be more cosmetic. Which one do you actually like? And that looks better. So SSD prices are shooting up too now. They might lower the productions of motherboards. Absolutely, that's the case. I just ordered the Samsung 9100 Pro to... yeah, no problem. I'm glad that you were able to pick it up. Yes, is that a horrendous take, Silent? I think so too. Because like, even if you sell that PC, even if you do sell it, now it's going to be actually harder for you to purchase the next PC. Think of it. Like, it's going to be more expensive because thanks to you for you know, spiking up the market. You're going to make it a bit more expensive to buy the next thing. So kind of tough to convince yourself to buy a motherboard when you need RAM. It really is. It's like, that's immediately what you think about is like, wow, if I buy this motherboard, it's insane. You could actually get a great motherboard, an awesome motherboard. You could get the Gigabyte Ors Master, or you could get the ASUS ROG X870E Crosshair. You could get the Apex, and that's going to be cheaper than the RAM. That's what makes it so ridiculous. So I opened this stream on my phone and it went live and my chat is still loading. Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Hopefully you guys can see it clearly on the phone, like when it comes to the, let me know, guys, like if the chat comes up pretty clear, like on the screen, like on the video, if you guys could see it okay. If you can't, I can make it a bit bigger for you guys so you can see the chat a bit better. So took closing out Twitch. Okay, back to the, oh, that sucks. So let's get into the price graph. I'm just going to show you guys just how bad this actually looks when it comes to the pricing. Now we're going to look at first we're going to look at the RAM price at the chart, because it just seems like it's just a straight up. There's not even like a incline really. It's more like you're getting pulled from heaven. That's what it looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at the memory price trends. We're going to have fun here. Chat looks fine. Okay, awesome. Scary movie. Absolutely. Yes, this is scary movie time. Okay, so we're going to swap over to here and take a look, guys. This is it. I'm going to put it just like that for you guys so you can see it. So this is just DDR4 3200 megahertz. Look at that. Tell me how that makes sense. Originally, like at the lowest point, it was at, let's see, like right around there, it was like about $40. Nearly touched like $41, $42. And then once it hit, I wish I could move this chart. Once it hit 42, then from there it went, not just doubled, it doubled in October, and then by the time it hit November to December, you can see it tripled in price. That's how insane the pricing is. That's DDR4 RAM, guys. just terrible. And then when you go to, I know that I'm working on it, Xenomorph. I'm working on it. I got my pre-order in, but it seems that it's back ordered, so I'm working on it. In fact, I even, you know what, Xenomorph, though? I even emailed G-Skill just to try my luck with them to see if I get any response from them. But more than likely, they're not gonna, they're gonna be like, who the F is this guy? Like, why does he want RAM? So DDR4 3600, this is just, again, just outdated memory. And for those who do have it, you guys might really want to upgrade soon if you really need to. Again, back of June 2025, its lowest point was nearly about $55. And then from here, let me go back here. So from here, it went to, at the second highest point, it went to nearly about $100 back in between October and November. And then once it went all the way up here, like where we're at today, it's nearly at $125. So you're talking about 125% it went up nearly. So, oh man, worst case, you gotta email. Oh yeah, I could see the PNY guy. I could see him just waiting for all the responses. He's like, yeah. Now when you guys need RAM, you want to come back? You want to come begging for us to work with you guys? So let's go into more of what is common today. Let's go to more of the DDR5 side. So say you want to get just 5200, you got to just get started somewhere. At least you can say, like, say if you got an Intel board, an older, like say you got Alder Lake, or maybe you got Raptor Lake, you can get away with. You can get, for example, September of 2025. Between then, it was a decent price point, like about $110 roughly. And then once it hit November, it hit about 200. And now, and once it hit December, it went to 400. Again, another one that tripled in pricing. That is just ridiculous. That just shows you. 52. Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. It works. I started off with 5200 megahertz on Intel's 12900K. Definitely quite the beast. In fact, I miss that system. Intel's Alder Lake was actually a great PC, I have to say. Throw that in there. But I do not need the extra features from X motherboards, except the Gen 5 support from the future. VRM's designs kind same at the least in the high-end B850s comparing. So let me flip it for more of you guys over here. Sorry, on the mobile side, because you're probably like, it just looks flat to me on the mobile side. So let's go to 6000. This is the moneymaker here, guys. This is the one. Let me warn you, because if you're prone to any type of heart disease or heart attacks, I must forewarn you guys, because it's going to get pretty serious. It's going to get brutal. I bought a 32 gigabytes 6400 megahertz CL32 T-Force Delta eco-friendly RAM for $140. I'm not sure if these RAMs are any good, but are they? I bought them from a local store in my country. They're actually decent. They're not bad. I just am not sure. I'm pretty sure they're HK Hynix as well. So they're actually pretty decent. Lucas, trust me. Thank you. He got a X870 board, not an X870E that are expensive, but the X870 platform are not bad for pricing. Agreed. USB 4. So, you ready for this, guys? DDR5 6000 megahertz at 2 lanes and 16 gigabytes. So you're talking about originally in July, let's say June, July, you could get it for roughly about, it looks like about $120, $130. Sound right? for 6000 megahertz for 32 gigabytes. And then we continue from, say, between September and October. Okay, slight increase. Now it's starting to push about $150. And then once we hit into October here, that's when it went up to $220. And then once we hit into November, which is insane, it went to $400. And now today, it's about that. It's about $425 as the average price. Alum, Dark Weather, 9236. Welcome. Yeah. So check Haggle Zone for White Crucial 32 Go. 30. Oh yeah, that's actually great. 420. Yes, 420, 430, right? That's if you can certainly find some great RAM, please. If anybody has any sources that you are holding back, don't let everybody know. Especially for those who really need to get the RAM, those who really need to build a PC. Please share in the chat. Certainly don't mind it. Also, feel free to share on Discord, guys. Again, the Discord is right here, so feel free to share on Discord here. And if you need to be able to purchase some RAM. So Squeeze NG2, what's up? So I can see RTX 6080 go back to 4080 pricing on release. Possibility. It's funny because 5080 pricing was honestly not that bad when they first came out. It was just the influx of the pricing when it came to their man-made shortage then. They knew. How do you do that? How do you do that, NVIDIA? So Jenamore says, have you guys seen Discord, the Corsair RAM I sent? It's not even 6,000 megahertz yet. It's 2,000. Yeah, I did see it, Jenamore. That's just disgusting. So DDR5 6000. Now this 64 gigabytes one. This is going to be a fun one, guys, because this one is just insane. So back of between March and April 2025, you could actually pick it up for a decent deal for about $210, which was how much I picked it up for back then. In fact, I think I picked it up in December. It was about like that $210 or $220 mark for 64 gigabytes. Now, if you look today, well, not today. Let's not just jump into today, but I can certainly say that if you take a step forward, we'll go into September, and you can see it starts to kind of creep up a bit. It's like about 240. It's just a slight bump, right? And then slowly the interest started gaining, especially into about middle of September into October. And now you can see it reach about like almost about $300. And just to let you guys know, this price graph is definitely like going by 200. So it's definitely a lot more higher compared to a lot of the other graphs that we just seen earlier. So from October, it's about $300, and then it just like kind of breaks through and it hits 400 real easy in middle of October. Then it climbs to about right when we're heading into November. It just goes insane. So right when we're hitting November here, that's when it hits about close to, let me see, about $500. Yeah, about 500. And then once it hits here, it hits about 575. And then, oh, didn't mean to do that. Got a bit scared there. So once it hits about December here, you can see it like right between that mark. It's like right under $800. It's more like around that $700 range. And it's even higher now. I'm surprised this hasn't updated because I got to show you. Let's go in Corsair. Let's go with Corsair, guys. We're going to go to Corsair. So, do you think AMD CPU 7000 series are going to... No. AMD CPUs should remain intact when it comes to their pricing. AMD said themselves that they're not planning to increase the pricing on the CPUs. So, that's the good thing for anybody out there who is looking to build. At least CPU prices will stay intact. Motherboard pricings should also stay intact. GPU pricings are definitely something to take advantage of because they also do take a type of RAM. They take VRAM. So take anybody that needs a GPU, please go out and take a look because you're going to certainly regret it if it ends up being just like RAM. You saw how quick it jumped up. You saw how quick RAM can jump up. So GPUs can do the same exact thing without warning. Once you see that price increase, then that's pretty much it. It's just, it could skyrocket from there. So Kaido says, I was saving to buy a 9070 XT and was buying part of my first PC. Almost reached into the savings for until I heard they're increasing the prices next month. My dream's gonna stay a dream. I feel so bad for you, Kaido. Hopefully you're able to get the PC that you would like. Certainly start buying parts though. If you have some savings, just start buying parts little by little. Buy what you can get. I highly recommend focusing more on the memory and the GPU side, and then focus on purchasing the other parts later. Things that won't be such as volatile. Such as like buying a motherboard won't be as volatile. Buying a case won't be as volatile. CPU cooler shouldn't be nearly as volatile. You want to be able to buy some of the components that you need, so that way you don't have to worry about the quick influx of pricing. So, not the Corsair website. Yes, I need to replace my iPhone rear shell and battery. Okay. Dominator sticks look so good. They do. They look awesome. But you ready? Let's go ahead and check it out, right? The innocent Corsair website. Let's go ahead and hit shop now, right? Okay, so 32 gigabytes, $478.99. Okay, not too bad, right? 64 gigabyte kit. Let's see if it's on sale right here. It's only 952. Oh, they disappeared on us. They're trying to hide on the stream right now. There you go. $952.99 for their sticks. And then if you get 96 gigabytes, you can imagine how expensive that would be. Right there, guys. This is what it looks like. Pretty disgusting there. The back glass is, oh, that's rough. Yeah, you definitely got to get it fixed. Hopefully you got hopefully you have Apple Care. That'll certainly fix it. It's wild to see pricing from some of the memory kits that are going to be more expensive than mid to high end GPUs. Absolutely. This one, they don't even list the price. You know what? You know what's funny? How this doesn't even list the price here, but they certainly have to say, I'm surprised it doesn't say contact us for the pricing. You know, just like, it's almost like when you go to one of those, like, when you go to like a pretty nice, say, seafood restaurant or a really nice steak restaurant, and you sit there, you look at the menu, and you say, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I wonder how much that is. And then you look over to check over on the pricing side, and when you check on the pricing side, it says pricing depends on market conditions. That's what it seems like. That's what Corsair is doing. They want you to contact them to find out the pricing for their 96 gigabytes of RAM. How much RAM does your Threadripper build have again? It might be worth more slowly than your GPU. I know right now it's only 64 gigabytes. It's crazy to say only 64, but at the time it was plenty. But I actually wanted to expand the memory. I wish I would have. I was going to expand it to 128, but it seems like it's going to be very hard to get my hands on any type of memory at this point. In fact, that same RAM kit, I remember I looked back a few months ago. I went to click it, and of course, unavailable, unable to get it. I might have a better chance of going to Micro Center if I was to get a RAM kit for it. But actually, I'm more concerned to be able to do the next build. So I definitely got to get a RAM kit for the next upcoming build. Of course, it's probably going to be a 32 gigabyte kit, but we're definitely going to find something here. So, Squeeze says, Chris, how is Beam NGS minimum requirements to run its max AI 64 gigabytes of RAM and 50 core CPU running at 3 gigahertz minimum? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can go for it. Is it okay if I buy 9070 XT right now, but keep it stored for 4 to 5 months? Oh yeah, of course. Well, the GPU shouldn't be as bad, Kaido, because if you get it now, the good thing is you're not going to pay a crazy price for the GPU, because it's only going to get worse, especially because you could actually pick up a 9070 XT for a decent deal. It won't really be that bad. In fact, you could actually pick a 9070 XT for probably like up for maybe about $650 to $700 is probably the average. If you get it for a really good deal, it's about 600. But the thing is, if you wait until the next month, again, they're going to charge up more on it. So you're talking about like from it being on the average of $660 to $700 just for the basic start line for it. Then it can go up as high as $750 to $800 even if you want a 9070 XT. So definitely go for the GPU, as that's, I know, one of the larger purchases, and then focus on the RAM. It's funny to say RAM, right? Especially when you're thinking of trying to prepare for a build. Nobody ever thinks like, oh, I gotta save up to get the RAM. Because that was like, again, the cheaper part to build. One of the last things anyone would actually worry about before purchasing a build. Or they would actually get the CPU typically. But in this case, you want to get the GPU, and you also want to get a RAM kit if you can get your hands on it. Losing half a year coverage is kind of a lot. Yeah, absolutely it is. Actually, you still can get the 7900 XTX 24 gigabytes for $950. That's a great deal. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, there is still some awesome deals. Like, we could go to Micro Center right now, and let's take a look. It's funny because Micro Center does not really want to show the memory prices. In fact, they're so embarrassed about the pricing, they don't even really put it up there. But I'm going to show you guys. We're going to go to Micro Center right now, and we're going to take a look, and I'll show you what they certainly do have. So we're going to go up here and say we look up at 9070 XT. Now this is going to be, it should be fairly priced for the most part. It's not going to be too expensive. Again, like here you go, 9070 XT. You can actually pick it up even 580. That's actually a really good deal. Power color is not too bad. Yeah, there also is a ASRock AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT Challenger, $600. Again, these are all very good deals for GPUs. And again, all well under 700. So Mr. Wonder says Corsair Vengeance DDR5 32 gigabytes 6400 megahertz is selling for 280 in my country, but the only thing is it's expensive here for the motherboards. No way, really? How is it that cheap? That is insanely cheap for some memory. Like a cheap X870 for a AX Eagle instead of a high-end one. So true. Why are they embarrassed? It's funny. I'll type it in fact right now, and they won't show the pricing. They haven't been showing the pricing of it. But hopefully they do today. I wanted an opinion, but I'm thinking of a new PC with a 5060. Think more 5070. I highly recommend anybody that thinks 5060, go 5070. It's definitely the better choice. i5 1440F is that a good combo for a budget PC. I'm okay with the processor. The GPU, if you're more of a budget, don't go 5060. If you're building a gaming PC, go for that's when I suggest something more like 90, go like 9060 even, 9060 XT or 9070 XT. And you would certainly enjoy it a bit better compared to something like a 5060. So it's fine to keep your box. Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Just keep the box. If you're worried, you can always, yeah, I know the advertisement, no fuss, just fast. It's funny too, because, okay, so it seems like they have fixed the pricing a little bit, which is good. So, like, for example, G-Skill's Flare X5 is 32 gigabytes. Crazy to think that's good. Now, Corsair's Vengeance RGB 64 gigabytes. See, it's 6,000 megahertz. CL30 for $874. And it's insane because they got plenty in stock, too. They got plenty in stock. And the wild part is when you look at the price of something like this, $874, again, that's a very fair deal. Because if you look on Newegg, I bet you it's more. Rest in peace. I know, it's a shame that Crucial. Older T-Force DDR4, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's still a decent deal. I would pick the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte instead. Yes. You need at least 16 gigabytes. That's like the standard now. The reason why we say that's the standard when it comes to the memory side is because it can be quite expensive. It can be quite taxing on your system, especially when you're gaming. You're going to need the extra VRAM, so it's definitely better to get at least 16 gigabytes as a requirement now. So the price difference between the 5060 and the 5070 is very big. Is it really? I know it depends on country too, so it depends where you are. Now the 9060 XT 16 gigabytes that's what I'm saying. It's a better deal. Go to 9060. 9060 XT, and we can find a decent deal on it. Like this one, 16 gigabytes, $350. This is something to get. Well, SSD prices increased too. I'm wondering. Yes, SSD pricing is definitely going to go up. You should buy the RAM here now on Micro Center for a few. I think so. In fact, you know what I was tempted to? I was looking at Threadripper's builds, right? In fact, they have a part here. We'll take a look at Micro Center here. We're going to take a look at the bundles that they do have. It's funny because remember when Micro Center used to do the bundles with the memory and it would be right there? You can actually just click the memory and you can, and it would actually come with it. Now they don't, it's just a motherboard and the processor and that's it. Okay, so let's see. Let's go here. We'll go to Cyber Week and more than likely it'll probably come up. These are decent deals for processors. For anybody that's looking for one, anybody has a Micro Center near them, they could get a Ryzen 7600 XE for $200. That's a good deal. Yep, even a laptop. Isn't this all just price fixing? Yes, I remember when I got RAM for free and motherboard. Yes, that's how it should be. It should be like that. That's what enticed people into building a PC. So those look like all. Let's look up Threadripper here. The one I was thinking of was a 9970X. Right here, right? Oh, they got a special deal, it says. So 4,000. Oh my gosh. 4,000 now. And they gave it 3 stars. And 9970X, ASUS TRX50 Sage Pro Wi-Fi. The thing is, I could probably reach out to ASUS and ask if I can get a board. That might not be an issue. The issue would be trying to get the RAM. That's always been the issue. And the RAM is probably the majority of the cost here, I would imagine. Let's take a look. So if you get this RAM, right? $1,700. That is insane. $1,700 for this. So 9850 X3D coming soon. Yes. That's why they make, exactly. That's why they're trying to sell it. They're trying to get rid of these processors, especially for anyone that is just starting a build. Then they can certainly take advantage of that pricing. And that is disgrace. You can build at 50. I know, that's what I'm saying. That is disgusting, right? It's just terrible. My plan was to get a 9070 XT with the 9600X. Was out of budget, but who knew RAM would cost more? That's the problem. That's the problem when it comes to RAM. So more than likely, this project's gonna be on hold for a while. Now the cache latency is awesome. It's only 28, but again, it's 5600 megahertz, and again 1700. This doesn't make any sense to me. You know what? Let's go back to take a look at some RAM here. We're gonna look up some DDR5. How many years of this RAM pricing? Unfortunately, it's going to be last until like about 20. They said about 27 to 28, but I feel like it'll be between the 2027. I think AI. It all depends on how much of a dip AI takes. It depends if more and more people are using it less and have less interest in it. If that's the case, it'll definitely slow it down quite a bit. But for the interest of how high it is and how much people are interested in doing LLMs and developing AI, that's also going to cause the uptick as well. So Jenamore says we might have to consider buying a 2008 Mustang GT instead of RAM. The higher the RAM stick of memory, the higher the prices combined with faster timings. Yeah, it's insane. But G-Skill's honestly not too bad. This is probably what I'm going to have to get. And it's crazy because, like, just looking at the pricing, what I paid before, $330 for CL36 for 6,000 megahertz. This might be something that would go into, like, Project Ninja. or that's definitely something I will discuss at the roundtables with you guys about the upcoming build for the channel. More than likely, I'm trying to push it for at least in January, because it doesn't seem like it may happen this month unless parts start flowing in. So, but the good thing is we got a case ready for it, and definitely thinking of some different options here. See, yeah, I know, isn't that insane? 164, it makes it seem like it's a sale. And it's funny because, like, if you look at, let's look at Newegg. I feel like buying RAM is like buying Bitcoin. It feels like it. It really does, because for them, it's going to be a bit different. Let's look up DDR5. And we're going to see how much the pricing is here. And here they say, oh, if you put the promo code, here, if you put the promo code for our Corsair Vengeance 32 gigabytes, that's CL36, you get $10 off, and it'll be a total of $400. You know what this? You know, because of this, at times it makes me dislike a Newegg more and more at times, because it almost seems like they're one of the people that are not helping the case. Like, for example, they're making it seem like $350 is a deal for 32 gigabytes of RAM. And then and again, CL36, $20 off. That brings it down to $330. So it's not really a sale. Tell me how that is a sale. So is Apple the cheapest RAM seller? You know what's crazy? Even if you buy their laptops right now, they even pushed up the pricing. If it's Apple, if they are, it won't be long. Dude, I just download some RAM. Yeah, download the RAM, guys. You can easily download some RAM. You know what? It's going to get to the point. It almost seems like it'll get to the point to where nobody can really get RAM anymore. Maybe you know what'll happen? We'll end up, instead of building a PC, it's going to get to a point where we're going to have like practically what's the right word for it? We're practically going to have like a server, like a small, I can't think of the word of it right now, the terminal. So everyone would have terminals instead of PCs, because it's going to get so unaffordable to a point where instead of having the PC, everyone's going to end up buying terminals. And from these terminals, you'll have a gaming PC in another state or another country that you'll be playing on, but you'll be playing through a terminal. So technically, you don't own the PC, but you have a terminal that can connect to the PC. Wouldn't that be a bit ridiculous? Almost seems like that would be pretty insane, because then that's how a gaming PC would be. It wouldn't be no longer having the actual hardware. You would just be pretty much cloud gaming at that point. That's what it would feel like. It would be like renting or watching YouTube how to make how to make a RAM stick. Everyone's gonna have start making DRAM in their houses with their ovens. Everyone's gonna start scavenging for everything that they can get off of how's, you know what, out of curiosity, how's everybody's marketplace look like when it comes to looking for used RAM? Out of curiosity, has anyone looked online for used RAM? Has anyone been guilty, just out of curiosity, to see if you can actually get RAM for a decent deal? Like, if nobody's actually checking the prices. For example, you look up 64 gigabytes of 6,000 megahertz, and maybe you can pick it up for a good deal because this person that's selling it didn't pay attention to the RAM pricing. Yeah, monthly subscription fee. Yeah, you know what it's like? It's almost like the NVIDIA's cloud. Like, when it came to that, it's pretty much like that. So just put your newly built RAM into the air fryer, and it should be done. Your marketplace are more expensive than absolutely. They want us hooked on cloud gaming subscriptions on a 50. Can you imagine that? It's like you're paying a month-to-month fee for something like a 50/50. That would just be insane. Actually, Alibaba has some cheap RAMs with questionable names on. You know what? Let's go check it out. Let's all check out Alibaba together. How's that sound? It's desperate times call for desperate measures. So let's go ahead. In fact, we'll have more fun. We'll go to Temu. Let's go to Temu and spin the wheel. I know that wheel's going to come up. So, Invader Skiff, DDR4, 32 gigabytes is 100 to 125 per. Oh, really? That's still pretty. That's actually not terrible. That's actually what's the specs on the DDR4, by the way? In Germany, I saw Corsair's DDR5 6000, 2-lane 16, 2x16 CL30 for 500 euros, but the same a week for 380. Oh my gosh, that is high. What is the explanation for the 3050, 4050, and the 5050? You meaning the difference? I can't type the name here or YouTube. You know what? Type it on Discord, and then you can let me know. If you send it through Discord, let me know. I'll check the Discord. If anybody sent any message through Discord, or you have any links that you have a source where you can get some great RAM for a great deal, please share in Discord, because there's people out there that really does need RAM. What's up, Jonah? So I think I caused people a little scared to sell RAM so cheap because they overcharge in listings. Like, what's the point of them? Really, the whole point of them is trying to get the budget gamer. They make it seem like it's a deal. Like, if anyone's purchasing anything that's like a 3050, 4050, or 5050, is to seem like you're getting a decent deal. Like, for example, you can get it for like $150, $200. So it seems like you're getting a GPU. Like, you think you're getting a decent GPU, but really it's not really great. You might be able to play some games, like barely anything, but they're hoping that the people that are building a PC that doesn't pay attention to what type of games it can run or handle. So let's look up some DDR5. I guess Temu's mad at me because I don't have the wheel. I don't have the wheel that spins. DDR5, here we go. Now, it says we can get some EGIT DDR5 RAM laptop memory. Is it getting to that point? We're going to force some laptop memory into our motherboards. Even from Singapore. I doubt I can run Crysis 1 on Ultra. Funny. So I can see budget PC builds with DDR3. It will get to that point. Like, eventually it's going to get to the point where no one's going to want to build a PC that's modern. Everything's going to be like retro build. Here we go. How about we get some high standard DDR5, guys? And guess this. It's 16 gigabytes, 6,000 megahertz, and CL48. So it has and it's Team Group. It's Team Group. Allegedly, it's Team Group. Or is it? And it's only $140. Almost sold out. So people are certainly buying it. People are certainly buying Team Group's RAM sticks here. Is buying a PC during Christmas the best time until 20? Right now, to purchase a PC build, this is definitely a better time. That's right, Waffle. Yes, I agree. More like Group T. Yeah, you know what it is? Look, if you look closely, Team Group Team. So they threw that in there to kind of like they're supposed to move the logo over. They say good quality. Oh yeah, it must be good because it says good quality, right? But out of curiosity here, you know what? I'm gonna throw up another poll for you guys. This is gonna be a great poll here because I feel like this will be pretty funny. And here it is. So, would anyone? Here's the poll here, guys. Would anyone? There we go. Would anyone purchase Okay, here it comes. This is Okay, so the question is, guys, I'm about to enable the poll. And let me see. Here it is. So the question is, there we go. So put 1 or 2. So now, would anyone purchase Temu AliExpress RAM if it's a deal? That is the question. Now, to answer, you can put 1 or 2. Feel free. I'll leave it up for like about 10 minutes. Out of curiosity, if it's a deal, if you found some DDR, just put 1 or 2. So part 5, it also uses way less storage space than standard Windows. It can save you 20 or 30 gigabytes. Just got a 7600. Oh, we got it. Oh, okay. So we got we have a no. We got a no so far. A yes. It's if it's decent enough, a review. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We're looking for some DDR5. Let's see what. Let's get a little specific. Let's see if we can find 6,000 megahertz of RAM here. 6,000 megahertz DDR5. There you go. That's right. That's right. Yeah, of course, Sarah. I took a dookie and seen their. Exactly. That's it. You got to say how you feel. Depends on how much the risk to reward. Okay, so here we go. So the best thing we found is the Team Group Elite for $140. Or is it Team Group Team? It's at a local warehouse, so there's no import. I'd rather get... I thought so. I thought so. Here we go. This says Vengeance. I like how this one says it. This one just says Vengeance, guys. This says Vengeance RGB. There's no Corsair. Even though they got the Corsair, even though they got the Corsair logo, it says Vengeance RGB DDR5 RAM 16 gigabytes. For one stick, it's 16 gigabytes, 6,000 megahertz at CL36. And look, they even put the number. They even put Corsair's number. How about that? Almost sold out. Lowest price ever. What do you guys think of that? So, well, I bought a year to SODIMM DDR4. There was no info. And it's, oh, really? Oh, really? That's funny. I'm thinking 2K Canadian. Ernesto, it's spelled correct. Yeah, I'm surprised. Uncharted 4 on 5090 with 64 gigabytes of DDR5 is amazing. Glad I bought this 2 months ago. Crazy expensive. Yes. When sus is sus. Yes. They even got the pictures. Look, it's what I'm curious about is, okay, right here, let's go down. It says this seller is, I can't read that name. If anyone can tell me how to pronounce it, that would be great. And the origin is Fujian, China. That's where it comes from. And again, they have all these, it looks like a copy and pretty much paste it Corsair's website here when it comes to it. Yeah, they pretty much did. It's funny. Sometimes I wonder, like, man, how did they get away with this stuff? I'm gonna start. Yeah, that's a great idea. You certainly could. Instead of jewelry dealers, we're gonna have DDR dealers. So, what do I have? 2 sticks of Kingston Fury Beast DDR4 3200 megahertz. CLs, yes. Yeah. China stepped up their game when it was looking bad. Come on, China, we need to. That's what it seems like. They look like they're trying to get it serious here. Here we go. We got 6. How about this one? 6, it's called. It's this is very interesting as the timings are CL 46, 46, 46, 90, and it's 5600 megahertz. Again, $130. But this is more expensive than the 6,000 megahertz that we just saw. That's sketchy, though. The thing that scares me is if you put that stick of RAM in there, how will your motherboard react? I would immediately look at the pins. Here we go. Here goes another one, guys. And this one is HYN Hynix original 8 gigabyte. 1 stick of 8 gigabyte of DDR5, 5600 megahertz. and it is CL46, 107. Almost sold out, so people are buying these. The crazy part is there are people purchasing these RAM sticks, but there is no reviews. At these prices compared to the market prices, I feel like it caused me less pain to get scammed. Yeah, exactly. So let me just forewarn everybody out there. So if you do end up trying to purchase RAM and that you do, or you're desperately wanting to go to a place like Temu, or if you want to go to a place like AliExpress, save yourself the heartache, because you're not going to spend $100 or $200, even though they say that you're only going to spend that much. In fact, you'll end up spending about $500 to $600 very easily. And you know why? I'll tell you the exact reason why. And that's because you're going to end up spending the money on, say, this HYN Hynix RAM. That's $107. But then you find out that it doesn't work. Say you bought two of them. That's like $214. So you're down $214.06. That's what it would cost you. So you're down that much, and then you find out it doesn't work, and now you have to go ahead and purchase real RAM at a Micro Center. Then it's going to cost you another $400. When you're like, damn, I could have saved myself $200. I could have got some SSD for a very fair price instead of purchasing this RAM. So, yeah, so anybody out there, that is certainly the wording that I would certainly tell you guys before you think of purchasing something like this. Because otherwise, you're going to be pretty pissed off that it doesn't work. And there's been indications, such as, I don't know if you guys seen it. This one's a pretty funny one. I'm going to have to pull it up for you guys over here. So far, luckily, we have some people out there that aren't willing to do it. But that's just a fair warning for everybody out there. Chris, check the Amazon links on Discord. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check out Discord here. And let me pull that up. Welcome everybody who has joined the Discord. Certainly appreciate it. So it's going to be up here. Oh, that's okay. And let me see. Amazon. You put it onto, okay, you sent it to me. All right, perfect. And okay, so I'm going to open this up. This is the link right here. And we can turn off the poll now. So PNY CS 3252 terabyte SSD. There we go. This was sent by us by Jetamorphing, 2 terabyte Gen 5. How is that more expensive? Tell me how that is more expensive than the 9100. That blows my mind. How much do you think GPU prices will increase in the end of first quarter? Will it be, yeah, it's going to be very similar to the price of RAM. It's just that we haven't felt the effects yet because they still have the GPUs in stock on shelves. But by 2026, they already announced that they are raising the prices. So you're talking about, AMD actually gave us the exact number. In fact, I'll actually pull up that number for you guys. But PNY, that's insane. I would much rather get a 9100. You can actually get a 9100 for a way better deal. I know, that's insane. $216. $216. And you get a much more yeah. I don't know what PNY was thinking. I guess they felt like they could outdo Samsung this time. So I'm gonna switch back over to just chatting here, and I'm gonna actually give you the full info. This is going to be the official word here. So I'm going to go to Tom's Hardware for you guys, so you guys can take a look. Kingston Fury Renegade G5 good. Yes, Kingston is actually very good when it comes to their RAM. So I'd say definitely, if you can get it for a good deal, go for it. Definitely go for it. So we're going to go here to the browsing side once again here. And as you see, AMD raises their Radeon RX 9000 GPU prices, increasing $10 for every 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you get 16 gigabytes, it's going to be about another $20 for the GPU. So it's already scheduled for January 2026. It's 100% legit because this actually came from AMD themselves. So AMD has admitted to it. Other brands have not quite said anything quite yet when it comes to it. It's their SSDs Gen 5. Yes. Yes. They are trying to they're trying to fix their GPU sales with the SSDs. Yeah, it seems like it. So, Dr. Blitz says, what happens when Samsung and SK Hynix follows Micron? Um, then we're pretty much, if that happened, we're pretty much SOL at that point. We're gonna be SLL if that happens. If that because those companies, you need them. You need to have Samsung. You need to have HK Hynix. Samsung hasn't really produced as much when it comes to the RAM side, but it's more or so that HK Hynix has been producing a bit more when it comes to the memory. But Samsung are the ones that are involved more when it comes to the VRAM side. So it's their SSDs Gen 5. What's up, Egyptian? Good to see you. Trident GG Skill DDR5 has been great in my 5090 system. So $10 per 8GB doesn't sound horrible, but yeah, to be honest, it's not just going to be $10 to $20 per 8GB. See, they're telling you the reason right then and there. They're telling you the exact reason why that they're choosing to raise their prices. And that's all because they're raising their prices because of the pricing of VRAM. And because VRAM is going up in price, they already understand this, that they're going to market a bit more. So what that means is once it becomes a bit more scarce and less easy to be able to get your hands on, then it's going to be very expensive. It's going to go up in pricing. Then AMD may not officially announce it. You'll just see the price increases in store, and you might wonder why the pricing keeps going up, and that will be the very reason. It's because VRAM will also go up in price because, again, they all come practically from the same factory. From the place that creates DRAM, HBMs, and VRAM, again, they all come from the same exact area. So the foundries are not increasing, and when they do decide to build more foundries, then it's just going to take a long time. Unfortunately, foundries don't just build overnight. They take years of building. So it'll be around the $50 increase in AMD, or it'll be more. Wait, how much will and exactly, now, see, Genomorph is thinking the exact correct question, which is everything else will start increasing in pricing. For example, when you get if you're interested in getting like an Xbox ROG Ally X, it's going to cost more now. Same thing when it comes to just getting the standard Ally, or if you're planning to get, say, the new PlayStation 6, or if you get the new next generation Xbox, all of it will take effect and will cost more because the pricing of RAM has went up exponentially. So supplier to retail to consumer, prices will be increased on each step. Pretty much like anything that involves us, the consumers who purchase purchase any everyday products, it will also affect us in those areas. So even though they're thinking, oh, because they're selling RAM to Microsoft or Sony, it's not going to affect the consumer, but that's actually completely false. It still affects us because they're not just a corporate company. They're also going to sell to us. And that is why we're considered the less important part. And just to let you know, this is just how bad it is. So, for example, Samsung, as we mentioned earlier, Samsung said that they need RAM for when it comes to the whole memory side. So, especially when it comes to their new phones, as you've seen their new products, such as like their trifold phone that they are recently going to be releasing sometime soon. When it comes to their other new developments, such as like the S26 Ultra and all their newer products. So Samsung requested to be able to get some RAM. Again, they're coming from different areas, different companies. Well, they're the same company, but just a different department. So they tried to reach out to their Samsung department to be able to acquire the RAM that is required for them to be able to run their product correctly. And you know what Samsung's department said? They said, no, we're not going to, not even to their own company. They said, we're not going to give it to you. We're selling it to OpenAI. We don't care that you need it. This is more important. They're going to pay us more, because even large companies, what they do is they pay They pay for their own product practically. So, but they know that OpenAI is going to give them a lot more compared to what they can make. So that's just how bad it is. Exactly. They rejected themselves. So, in my opinion, if it's needed for PC just for gaming purposes, it's a good time. And you know, the great question to everybody. I'm going to throw up another poll out there. So, because of this fiasco, because of this issue, this is actually going to be a great question for everyone. Money always comes first for a company, even if it's cents. Absolutely. Companies care more about the profit more than anything here. So here's the poll question, guys. For anyone that is interested in building a PC, this is the question. So here we go. And we are just about to get started. And there we go. So this is the question, guys. So if anyone's interested in building a PC, and because of how the prices are, for those who are considering other options, does this change your mind? So the poll question is, does the Steam machine interest you now? Is it because that you feel that the pricing could be low, even though it's not officially announced? Just out of curiosity, what do you guys feel about the Steam machine? You could put 1 for yes or put 2 for no for anyone that is interested in it. So let's see. More excuses for NVIDIA to bring back 2 gigabytes. Well, they're going out with 0 gigabytes to the brand partners right now because they're throwing it all on them. I mean, I have friends with that has PC services and build shops. He told me 1 year ago that 20% discount on PC parts because its company was buying it or whatever, at least in Hungary. Oh. So, different subdivisions of Samsung. Exactly. So they're all different. Samsung. I know. Isn't that crazy? If GameCube gives me 120 FPS on a 1440p, I'm going to get it. I mean, if it's possible, if he's able to do it, I'm sure he would be able to accomplish a lot. Certainly. We are honestly in a time period where we have no experience in whatsoever for gaming, especially consoles. We are 5 years into a generation, and just this year, consoles have raised in price 3 times. Find me another console that 5 years after launch hadn't gone down in price, much less raised in price. Absolutely. Is it the same thing as the Steam? No, Steam Frame's a little bit different. Now, Steam Frame is going to be their VR. It's practically like if you're familiar with MetaQuest 3 or things like the Apple Vision. It's kind of like that. It's more of, but this time instead of it being like the original version of they had Steam VR before. I can't remember. It just was expensive, like when they first released, and it's a bit outdated. And I'm glad they replaced it. Now they got the Steam Frame, which is going to be on its own OS. So you don't necessarily need the Steam machine to be able to use the Steam Frame. So you can actually use it on its own. You could you could take it on a flight with you, and you're able to game on the go. So the Steam Frame is like a MetaQuest practically. So I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, it seems that's interesting. So far, we got a lot of interest on the Steam Frame, especially for those who are trying to, especially for those who are interested in trying to save a bit of money. It makes sense why you guys are interested in it. It will still be heavy to move. It sounds like a game handheld, but better ITX build might cost a little more, but you can customize it or make it faster. The big point is it has DisplayPort. That's true. Imagine if Steam was never born. We would have... Oh gosh, no. Not Ubisoft. Ubisoft really went down the drain, I gotta say. Ubisoft is nowhere near as good as they used to be. Now, I do have to say, now for everybody that is interested in the Steam... Are you guys concerned about those who are interested in the Steam machine? Are you guys concerned that the RAM pricing today will also affect the Steam machine pricing? Even though Gabe probably had a set price in mind, do you think he is trying to hold that price, or do you think it's going to go up a little bit more than expected due to the pricing of RAM, especially once it ends up releasing? Yeah, that's right, Simply. Takuma, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, so what do you guys think of that on that front? I want to get it and build a sim racing setup around it. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be, I mean, it's perfect. It's small enough. You can easily set it up in, like, even like in a nice cubby hole. Easy. So, I honestly believe the Steam will tank of price because they actually care about consumers like AMD still. They surely will, but I hope that they have long-term contracts that it won't affect the end product too much. I agree. I have a feeling too that it's going to go up in pricing because of it. I'm hoping, but I know for sure that Steam will do everything they can to try to keep the pricing as fair as possible. And for some reason, I feel Steam holds a lot of weight, especially when it comes to something like this. For some reason, I just feel like they just, for some reason, have that kind of power, that Gabe power. It's almost that a power Gabe has, and his influence that he can get, especially when it comes to something like RAM. So let's hope that he certainly can take over for that side. Need to know performance specs first. Yeah, so let's go over the specifications of the Steam machine. And we're definitely not going to check for the Steam machine on Temu. Can you imagine the Steam machine on Temu? 9600X is good enough for you at 1440p. To me, it seems a little bit more casual customer product for people who never build a PC. This is great for anyone who is just starting off with a PC. Those who are just interested in it. Here we go. So this is it right here. This is the Steam machine, as it's OS optimized for gaming. So just to let you know, you can either keep the Steam OS or you can put Windows on it. Again, that's optional. Even though it is a Steam machine, you can install Windows, believe it or not. It's a small form factor, so again, it's roughly about into 6 inches of a cube. It's cool and quiet. So it's about literally like half the size of like an RTX card practically. So it's that small. So I'd recommend the 7800X3D, about 5 to 10% slower than the 9800X3D, but cheaper and way power. I mean, honestly, anybody could really build a small ITX. And I thought about it, like even on like the on Fractal Designs cases, they have it. Steam Machine keeps cool and quiet, whisper quiet, IO for days. So they do have DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, and it also has one USB-C and one USB-A port. So a lot of people who are coming, say, from console won't really understand about the whole HDMI side because they'll assume, oh, why doesn't it have HDMI 2.1? Well, DisplayPort 1.4 will actually be a bit better for it instead of just using HDMI. Or wait for it. Yeah, 9850X3D, certainly something exciting to wait for. There's a lot of interest in it. I'm curious to see how well that's going to be. CPU and GPU, the 4K gaming at 60 FPS at FSR, thanks to discrete, so it's definitely going to rely on the frame generation. And storage-wise, it comes with 512 or 2 terabytes, and it's also expandable on microSD. So I'm a bit curious on the storage side. I'm curious if you're also able to expand it similar to an M.2 SSD. I would assume that you can. Now it does feature Wi-Fi 6E plus Bluetooth 5.3. And again, it doesn't have a giant power brick. So let's go down. Let's look for it. So the Steam frame is this thing right up here. Let's see. Let's look at the actual hardware. So here it is, the machine. Steam hardware. Let me go back here. Oh, here we go. Tech specs. That's what we want to see. So here are the tech specifications for it. Most likely, yes. Hopefully it is. And for everybody out there who doesn't know, we will be at CES Live. So make sure to stay tuned in and subscribe. We'll be there at CES starting from January 5th. So make sure to, if you guys have any specific questions or want to see anything, let me know. And we'll definitely explore and check it out for sure. So it does have a custom AMD Zen 4 6-core 12 thread, so it's technically like almost like a 7600X, or a 7600 has 4.8 gigahertz and 30 watts TDP, so it's very low powered actually, 30 watts TDP. semi custom AMD RDNA 3 28 CUs, which is equivalent to like a 7600, like a RX 7600. 2.4 gigahertz max sustained clock, 110 watts TDP. RAM is at 16 gigabytes DDR5 plus 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM. So, again, 16 gigabytes isn't too bad. Luckily, it's just 16 gigabytes and not just over like 32 gigabytes, because then that would definitely bring up the cost a bit. What do you think of the performance going to be on it? Will it be 120 at 11440p? Let's say if someone plays Cyberpunk on it. I think Cyberpunk will actually work really well, especially if it's been quite optimized, especially now. Cyberpunk has been, it runs great, even on, say, like the Xbox Ally X. You could easily get 60 frames out of it. So you can definitely be able to get 120 on 1440p on something like a Steam machine. So, which is a CPU. Yes, I agree, but it also depends on how hard you push the game. If you're putting on, like, if you really want to put on full blast, like path tracing, then, of course, it's going to be a bit difficult. What will PS5 fanboys say? Oh, even people that game on Xbox are already throwing shade at the Steam machine, believe it or not. They're already saying about that how it doesn't look as nearly as good as an Xbox does, and how it doesn't have the Xbox Game Pass, and how they're going to be missing those games. But you can easily put it on there if you really wanted to. If you wanted Xbox Game Pass, you can get it on there if you get the program to do so. But yeah, it's still getting shade, and I explained to all of them. It's actually definitely one of the better things that has to come out, and hopefully it competes in the console space very well when it comes down to it. So I am curious if Gabe is going to have some game optimizations for his device, similar to PS5 games. Whenever they come out, they will almost guarantee to play well and look good to platform optimization. I believe it will. There's always like little adjustments that you have to do when it comes to Steam OS, but it's worth doing because in the end, it will end up running really well, such as like Vulkan. You'll be using Vulkan a lot on Steam OS. Chris actually tested the Ally Xbox on stream. It ran Yes. Yeah, it actually ran really well. You should be able to change RAM to fans. RAM is too expensive. I mean, somehow he needs to keep up with the res and FPS promises. I think he will. Now, he even says it here. Like, if you look right here, what he says, that he actually has it as set as display up to 4K at 200. That's insane. I don't know if it's going to do that now. If he does, that would be insane. Because if you look here, he says 4K at 240 hertz. Or at 8K. I think that's only on very specific games you can pull it off. I don't think that's going to be on every game, but I'm sure it's going to be very specific titles. Because 4K and 240 hertz would be very tough to pull off on the specifications with this. Of course, unless you use things as a frame generation, then you can take advantage of it. So I don't want to get into consoles exceptions as Steam machine because it can run and work like a PC. Absolutely. So it makes sense for a lot of people who are more into or just like say leaving the console space and they want to do something more into like the PC building space, then they can take full advantage of it. So I want to know who is gaming. I would love to know too. Wouldn't it be wonderful? I can't imagine what an 8K display would be, especially for something like that. That would be insane. Can you imagine like how much the cost is? I haven't even looked at the pricing of what an 8K display would look like. Let's see. I'm about to look it up. I know they're around, but does it really make that much of a difference for you to be able to get it? Let's see. So for an 8K display, here you go. It's at only, I went on Crutchfield because I had that. This price is just insane for this, which I'm going to show you guys. So take a look at that. So Crutchfield has a 8K TVs by Samsung, only for only for nearly $35,000. At Kaido, you don't have a PC yet where it's outdated. Buying a Steam machine later would make perfect sense. It's probably going to be the 9070 XT value. It all depends on how GameCube will performing. perform 14K. Isn't that insane? So you if you gained that 8K, if you could afford 35,000, I would start to question, why did you buy a Steam? Why would you, even at that point, why would you even buy the Steam machine? I would say if you got money to spend $35,000 on a display, then you can obviously have the means to afford a PC. Isn't that hilarious? Flatus uncle, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, yes, I agree. If anybody had FU money, I think they would just have it, just had the bragging rights. Yes, if too bad you're gonna need a 12K for that TV to get at least. Yes, if my PC build gets severely disrupted by these prices and GameCube performs same as 9070 XT, then I'm all in for it. Makes sense. And again, you can make it behave just like a PC if you wanted to. Technically, you could actually make it you can install Windows OS if you really wanted to. Now again, with these whole RAM pricings, of course, it's going to take effect into something like the Steam machine, into upcoming consoles. Of course, building PCs. So if anybody is struggling to build a PC, or is seriously considering about building a PC, it's definitely a good time to certainly think about getting the components now that you need, that are going to be definitely on the scale of the order of getting the RAM first, then getting the GPU. It sounds so backwards now compared to what it used to be, because obviously everyone would try to go for the GPU first because they tend to be a bit more expensive. But now in the ordering now, it's going to have to be GPU first, then it's going to have to be RAM first, then GPU, then it's going to be everything else pretty much after that. SSD would be definitely on the third side, or even the second side, because of how quickly it's starting to expand in pricing. But it's going to continually increase, and that's why I stress on everybody out there who needs to build a PC to definitely considering purchasing parts for that. So you should definitely aim at buying everything that has RAM in it. Just leave the MOBO, CPU, PSU at the very least. So Cybronic says even $1,000 price for Steam machine could be easily justified due to its ability to run Windows and other apps. The only question is the performance in Office and productivity apps. More than likely, it's going to do well. I could see it doing fine in like things like say Microsoft Word, or you're using something like Microsoft Excel, or even like if you're using something like a spreadsheets. It's not going to have an issue running it for sure. But I can say I think it would do well. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Steam Machine does do well. I think what would happen is that they would start expanding on other sides of the Steam Machine. Instead, they would start to focus more on they would focus more on what they can do next. They would definitely have an upgraded model where you can do a bit more. So I think that would certainly be the better case for it. Even $1,000, let's not hope for everything to be for the Steam machine like it's not really for DaVinci or Blender. Yeah, don't expect to try to edit. Don't expect to do things like doing things like working on, say, like doing Adobe Premiere or Adobe Photoshop. It's not going to handle like the CPU intensive task as well, but it can certainly be able to handle more of like the office productivity side and things like gaming with no issue. It would be great for those who, like, say, are students, especially for the flexibility of it. It could be a market, possibly. If they really wanted to, they could. I mean, they could definitely come out like with a more upgraded version. Just imagine if they had like a X3D version. That would be awesome. But again, they wouldn't really 100% utilize it unless it's on Windows when it comes to something like that. But again, they could easily show off the flexibility of a machine such as this. I'm just purely building for gaming, so if GameCube works, it works. No, it should work. 100% should. Or if you want the experience of building a PC, I can get that too. So, okay, so Fan Bam, guys, I'm going to switch over to the member side. I thank everybody for coming into this stream. I sincerely appreciate it. Make sure everybody remembers to join our free Discord if you have any more questions, and please feel free to share links if you find any great deals. It would be awesome. And also, for anybody that hasn't subscribed or followed the channel, make sure you please do, as we will be going to CES. It's not that much further now. CES is about like 4 to 5 weeks out. Hopefully you guys are just as excited as I am about going, as we're we're going to get a lot of interesting answers, I think, when we go there for sure. And it seems like there is a lot of I keep getting thrown emails about AI stuff. And hopefully it doesn't attempt to continue trying to take over. No problem, guys. Again, I stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Sometimes I always do bonus streams, and when I do, I always let you guys know. So thank you everybody, and soon make sure all the members stay tuned for the upcoming roundtable. Thank you guys so much for joining in, and have a great weekend.